Hello, can anyone hear me? Can anyone see me?
Yes,
Hello.
we can. Yes. Hello.
Okay. So polling a little bit all over the place, but Midas Touch said Trump's approval rating has plummeted to 29% per a new Pew poll taken after the attack at the Capitol. I saw another one that was more like his normal, 40%. I mean, okay. I want to know the people that think things are going really well, but okay. All right. So, Jake Tapper said, again, the folks who helped spread the big lie about the election that led to the terrorist attack want to change the subject. That's GOP office holders. That's MAGA media. That's anyone afraid of facing accountability because they know they have blood on their hands. If only there was someone that documented such things that even Hillary Clinton raves about and says is a must read. Why, it would be, you know who, Eric Boehlert from
PressRun.media.
doing the Lord's work as usual.
Eric Boehlert. Eric Boehlert.
Let's dive into the right-wing world.
I don't know what that means.
Eric Boehlert, whom we love.
Boehlert.
Hi, Eric Boehlert.
Hey, good morning.
I can't see you, but I'm just going to guess that you're there. Okay.
I am.
Yes, he
Here
is.
you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Eric, do we have a moment to feel like the good guys are winning finally? You were quoting from the story. Hannity's slow motion demise represents the starkest reminder yet for Fox News that its post-Trump world could look very different, especially if far-right users dump the channel at Trump's urging. It's been a spectacular run of last place finishes for a cable host who easily dominated the 9 p.m. slot for years. And you said it's okay to feel good about this.
Yeah.
It's amazing, right? Hannity and Fox News have been on ratings cruise control for years and years. There'd be little blips and hiccups along the way. But what happened after the election, it was very interesting. Hannity did fine, the week after the election, but then Trump's steal the campaign, steal the election really took hold. And that's when the crazy started to leave Fox News and they started leaving Hannity. They went to OAN and Newsmax and things like that. And at the same time, CNN has been riding a huge ratings wave since Election Day with the insurrection and the steal the campaign and the Georgia recount. So Hannity, particularly among viewers 25-54, he's been coming in third place every night almost for 2 months. And this is a complete reversal for the cable news world and just Fox News in general. Is basically coming in third place now. Rupert Murdoch created this monster. Rupert Murdoch created this mob. A portion of that mob has left Fox News. It's important for lots of reasons, and one of the reasons it's important is Fox News had been this completely unified propaganda rhetoric outlet for the GOP. But now there's two GOPs, and if you go on Fox News, you're not always going to, you're not going to get that insurrectionist message. You got to go somewhere else for that. So it's good for Democrats. It's good for America that there's no longer one huge megaphone to spread the lies. The conservative movement is splintering, and they're finding new media outlets to match their splintering. It's a big deal.
And I loved every word of the story. Where was it, Eric, about how the Trump campaign just came unglued starting from when Fox News called Arizona.
That's right.
For Biden. Get Murdoch on the phone, get Jet Service. And just a whole fissure and downward. But I mean, on cue, Eric, it couldn't happen to a more poisonous, horrible outlet. Fox News had a unique mandate attached to their settlement with the parents of murdered DNC staffer Seth Rich, stemming from their lawsuit against the cable news network. The settlement, the 7-figure settlement, would stay secret until after the election. We just learned this last night. Fox's decision to settle with the Rich family came just before its marquee hosts, Lou Dobbs and Sean Hannity, were set to be questioned under oath in the case, a potentially embarrassing moment. And Fox paid so much so the network didn't have to apologize for the story on foxnews.com.
Yeah.
And again, just a despicable lie that they were peddling for years. And, right? That's the only stipulation. This can't come out before the election, right?
This was a real flashpoint. If you go back to the fall of 2016, Seth Rich and Pizzagate, they were parallel track conspiracies, both happening as the 2000 at the very end of the 2016 campaign, and both were sadly premonitions of what was going to come in terms of the conservative movement, in terms of being consumed with conspiracy theories, which is a nice way of putting it, which was consumed with this cult behavior. And we saw the culmination with the Q cult and the insurrectionist riot. We've got to talk. There has to be a mainstream discussion about brainwashing. I mean, I keep seeing these articles about radicalized in terms of describing these people who are being arrested. But we have talked about how Fox News brainwashed in a generation, particularly an older generation, for decades. Everyone knows a family member who's lost an aunt, an uncle, a parent to Fox News.
Yeah.
What we're seeing now is this on steroids, and it is from 12 to 80. They are. Everyone is getting sucked up in this. And if you're the press, how do you cover a conservative movement that's been essentially brainwashed? You read these quotes. You read these, these nurses and these moms and these dads showing up in D.C. and you read the quotes from the families they can't recognize. Anyway, so this is going to be one of the most important stories going forward. And Fox is going to have to deal with it. We're all going to have to deal with it. We have a brainwashed nation, a portion of our political movement that are zombies.
And it's part of why, Eric, this party we're talking, this problem we're talking about with infiltration within the military is they're saying turn Fox off at every military base. Fox airs on every military base, and you wonder, And speaking of outlets, you requoted the Washington Post headline, misinformation dropped dramatically the week after Twitter banned Trump by 73%. Election disinformation plummeted. You said it'll be forever Twitter's disgrace for not banning Trump years ago. The damage done to this country. Hear, hear.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter did the right thing, but they should have done it years ago. And it was absolutely predictable that what happened. If you deplatform Trump, not just Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, all the places, all the air gets sucked out of that. I mean, we can absolutely say the temperature has gone down since the insurrection. There was no mass events over the weekend. There was an event at for instance, at the Ohio State Capitol. Turns out most people left when the Browns game came on. I mean, there just isn't that fever without the social media. And can you imagine if Trump was still on Twitter, if he was urging his supporters to show up and block the inauguration, if he was, is doing this vicious kind of rhetoric? Twitter, like the mainstream press, cowered. They allowed Trump to bully them for 4 years. Thankfully, they finally drew a line. And again, the results are absolutely predictable. It works. Deplatform Alex Jones, deplatform all these people. It doesn't mean they, and it's not censorship. Twitter is a private company. Trump violated their terms of service every day for 4 years. So it's a good first step. It's late. And hopefully that will, and how's he going to run for president again if he doesn't have Twitter? He simply can't do it. He simply can't do it.
And Eric, why do I know that you and I will still be here talking about the same thing? Because we're like, has the press learned any lessons from all this? And you just put the Washington Post headline, Congressional Republicans balk at Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion relief plan, complicating push for quick passage. And you said, see the framing here? It's stunning. Virtually every Republican is going to oppose COVID relief, which polling shows has massive public support. And the Washington Post frames that as bad news for Democrats. Right. You say not even a hint at the Washington Post. The GOP may pay a political price for overwhelmingly opposing COVID relief. Amazing. Here we go.
Yeah, the press spent the last year saying both sides support COVID relief. They just can't get together. There's gridlock. No, the reason Mitch McConnell would not allow a vote on COVID because he knew 90% of his caucus opposed COVID relief. Now Democrats are in control. There's going to be a vote. It's going to be passed. Not all of it's going to be passed, but they're going to be able to pass it on a 50-vote majority. And we're finally going to see. We're going to pull the curtain back. The Republican Party has opposed COVID relief, has opposed these checks, has opposed small business helping government. They've opposed it for a year, and the press kind of helped them get away with it and shield them for a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, it is amazing. We play. Well, I'm sure you've heard the soundbite, but Lindsey Graham blaming Nancy Pelosi for the riots. Where was Nancy Pelosi? As to which I said, almost getting lynched, along with Vice President Pence and half of Congress. But I mean, here we go with, both sides do it. And Nancy Pelosi is to blame for the security at the Capitol. I mean, it's stunning.
And going back to COVID real quick, John Cornyn, the Texas senator, put out a tweet yesterday aimed at Chuck Schumer. He said, why did you delay COVID relief for 8 months? He didn't run the Senate for 8 months. Nancy Pelosi doesn't run Congress.
Oh,
But look,
God.
I mean, that Lindsey Graham letter was really something. I mean, in there, he basically seemed to suggest he regretted not trying to impeach Obama over Benghazi. He says, "Well, if we knew now, maybe we should have impeached Obama for that." So Graham is all over the place. This impeachment, they've had a week to come up for some kind of defense, and they don't have one. Unity, I guess that's what they're saying. If you impeach Trump, it's going to just add to more trouble. It's going to be a mess. Giuliani now says he's not going to be one of the lawyers because he's a witness because he was fighting the mob on Insurrection Wednesday. So
yeah. Well, I mean,
one quick point about the impeachment trial, and I think Republicans thought they were being clever. Let's delay this in the Senate. The more that comes out, the worse it looks.
Thank you.
It is going to be unequivocal by the time there's an impeachment trial that the Republicans were involved. The White House was inciting a mob. It's going to be a no-brainer. And I think they overthought this, and they thought it was going to be clever to delay.
And I just, what I find in common when you watch this footage, Eric, of these Capitol Hill rioters, these MAGA people, right on to these nutcake Congress people, the Republicans that incited it, just smirkiness and arrogance, and that they just thought they're going to get away with this whole thing. And it really is kind of stunning. You're right. The more and more that comes out. In terms of the impeachment, I think I heard one Republican, I don't know who it was, going, "Oh, well, I don't think trial's going to happen. Joe Biden's going to just make this go away. And we're going to move on." Like, no, we're not going to move on from armed insurrection against the United States of America.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's
this really condescending talking point. We've seen it from Republican columnists. Come on, Joe, tell Nancy to stand down. Tell Nancy Pelosi what to do. He's not even president. There's separation of executive branches. No sitting president should tell Congress what to do. He's not even president. And it's not Joe Biden's job to fix the Republican mess. It's just not. I mean, it's his job to fix the economy that they left. It's his job to fix lots of things. It's not his job to repair the Republican Party and give them a pass on insurrection.
Yeah, and give me Sean cut number 5. Speaking of which, Nancy Pelosi is not playing. Nancy Pelosi yesterday.
If, in fact, it is found that members of Congress were accomplices to this insurrection, if they aided and abetted the crime, there may have to be actions taken beyond the Congress and in terms of prosecution for that.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. I keep thinking, when we're talking about expelling them from Congress, I'm like, many of them should probably end up in prison if what we think is true, right?
We'll find out, if the investigation. And even Joe Manchin yesterday, the most conservative Democrat in the Senate, saying, we should look at, Hawley and Cruz, whether they should be expelled from the Senate for pushing the big lie. I think there are a couple of QAnon members of the House that aren't going to make it through the year. They arrive determined to get expelled, and I think eventually they will be.
Yeah, and then this one from Pelosi I was very happy about. One last one.
We must subject this whole complex, though, to scrutiny in light of what happened and the fact that the inauguration is coming. To that end, I have asked retired Lieutenant General Russell Honore to lead an immediate review of security infrastructure, interagency processes, and command and control.
I think that's a fantastic idea. He obviously has amazing credibility, but also, Eric, I think it's important to have someone from the outside. We obviously know some Capitol Police were involved. Some were obviously just overwhelmed and fought valiantly. But, we need a real investigation of this, including, who was complicit from Capitol Police and in Congress.
Yeah, there ought to be a 9/11 type commission, absolutely. And look, D.C. is now in a total lockdown. It's a militarized zone. There's a green zone like there used to be in Baghdad. This was the inevitable conclusion. I mean, this is the chaos that Trump always wanted. This is his fond farewell. The good news is he didn't succeed in the insurrection, but this fiasco that he's leaving for Biden is exactly what he wanted. He's been at war with this country for 4 years.